And that's the man on your screens, Bhupendra Patel, the Patidar leader, is all set to be the new Chief Minister of Gujarat. Bhupendra Patel has met with the Governor Acharya Devvrat at Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar, staking claim on the government, and is likely to be taking oath tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's the schedule that's been given for now. After meeting with the Governor, Bhupendra Patel visited Dada Bhagwan Temple. He is currently on his way to Jagannath Temple. Bhupendra Patel's appointment will fix the caste equation for the BJP and will woo Patidar voters of Gujarat, which is the second largest community in the state that holds sway in at least 70 to 80 of the 182 assembly constituencies. More details in this report. Let's take a quick look.
Narendra Modi taking oath as Gujarat Chief Minister way back in 2001, laying the foundation stone of 2 decades of BJP rule in its first citadel. Cut to 2021. The BJP now has a new face to hold the office and step into Narendra Modi's erstwhile shoes. So who's the man behind the face, little known outside of Gujarat, but is now primed to look after Modi's home turf?
मैं सबसे पहले माननीय नरेंद्र भाई, माननीय नड्डा जी और अमित भाई शाह साहब का तहे दिल से आभार मानना चाहता हूं। मेरे पर जो विश्वास रखा है, वो विश्वास को बिना टूटे हुए विकास के जो काम बाकी है वो आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
An influential Kadwa Patidar face and a first-time MLA meet the surprise pick. The man at the centre of Modi Shah's plan for Gujarat, Bhupendra Rajnikant Patel. The 57-year-old is known to be a protege and a close aide of former Chief Minister Anandiben Patel, another Patidar stalwart of the BJP. A trusted confidant of the BJP top brass, Patel is known to be close to the BJP central and state leadership. A first-time MLA, Bhupendra Patel contested from the Ghatlodia constituency in 2017 and won against Congress's Shashikant Patel. The mammoth victory margin of more than 1 lakh votes was the highest winning margin in the 2017 Gujarat polls. An engineer by education, he played a key role in municipal politics and was an architect of BJP's surge in civic polls.
He is a first-time MLA, but then he has a lot of experience, as I said, more than 2 decades of experience of administration, and he has been very successful in all the endeavors that he has undertaken. State President has put up a target of 182 seats, which we will try and achieve. I am sure we will be able to achieve under the leadership of Bhupendra Patel.
Bhupendra Patel belongs to the Kadwa subcaste of the Patidar community that makes up a massive vote bank and influential in North Gujarat. Bhupendra Patel enjoys good relations with the Gujarat's dominant business communities that will add to BJP's advantage in the state. His pick is also an indicator that the BJP is now actively wooing rural Gujarat.
Chief Minister's post is being represented by a Patidar, so it's quite obvious that the other caste will get an equal representation. My information is that the Koli community, the Thakors, which are a major OBC chunk in Gujarat, and some tribals are going to be inducted in the cabinet tomorrow.
His family knows the enormity of the challenges ahead and fully back him over the responsibility as new CM.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने जो भी विश्वास दिखाया है उसमें आगे बढ़ेंगे और जो जनता लक्षी कार्य है उसमें आगे बढ़ेंगे और पीएम मोदी साहब ने जो भी विश्वास दिखाया है उसमें खरे उतरेंगे पापा.
The man in the top post has some big tasks at hand to woo back the Patidars, who've been BJP's strongest of supporters, to offset the anti-incumbency the BJP is facing in Gujarat and adding to the ever-dependable Modi factor.
The new Chief Minister is a diploma holder in engineering and has also got many business interests. Though it is said that in Gujarat, either you are from the Anandiben faction or from the Amit Shah faction of the BJP. But Bhupendra Patel is one of those rare people in this entire party who have close ties with Anandiben Patel as well as Amit Shah. With cameraman Prashant Bhatt in Gujarat, Vidya for India Today.
All right, now as Bhupendra Patel is all set to take oath tomorrow, I'm going to take you through strengths and weaknesses of Bhupendra Patel as he now becomes the leader of the Legislative Assembly. Let me take you through some of the strengths. Of course, the BJP top brass has immense faith in his capabilities, considering he won with a whopping victory in his constituency, the 2017 Assembly elections. He is looked at as a influential Patidar face. Of course, even if he wasn't really the face of it so far, he now becomes the real representative of the Patidar community. He has good ties with the business communities at large, which is again a stronghold as a big vote base for the BJP, and they belong largely with the Patidar itself. We're looking at Bhupendra Patel, who's seen as a close aide of BJP veteran former Chief Minister Anandiben. Of course, these are the strengths. Here, the man has no controversies to his name. He's got fairly a clean image. But let me take you through some of the weaknesses here. He's a relative greenhorn. Of course, we're looking at Bhupendra Patel, who is a first-time MLA. Several seniors who've been sidelined at this point. He's just one first time of his constituency. He's gotten into electoral politics literally for the first time, so he lacks that kind of experience as a chief minister should ideally have. He can, of course, now if we really look at the opportunities that we speak of for Bhupendra Patel henceforth, he can really help preserve the BJP's original citadel, which is the Patidar community at large. He can help BJP woo back the Patidars, who were quite agitated in 2017. They fought for their rights at that point in time. Of course, it cost the BJP quite a number of seats for upsetting the Patidar community in 2017. So BJP, of course, trying to woo the Patidar community, and that's quite clear. The threat here is that BJP's 20 years of incumbency, could this really lead to anti-incumbency does prevail, but will Bhupendra Patel really manage to spin that around is the question here. Of course, apart from that, the Patidar community's aspirations, many aspirations that the Patidar community have. Even now, within the BJP unit in Gujarat, we're looking at a good number of MLAs who come from the Patel community. Now, let me cut across to our panelists to give us perspectives here. Tom Badakan, BJP spokesperson, joining us. We have Sagar Rabri, who's the AAP spokesperson, to give us some more on that. Rohan Gupta, a Congress spokesperson. Let me cut across. Ms. Tom Badakan, here is Bhupendra Patel, who's been announced as the new Chief Minister of Gujarat. But the question here is, what really prompted the BJP to appoint a new face barely 15 months ahead of the elections? You're giving the man just about a year for him to literally spin around an entire election season. Do you think and have faith in Bhupendra Patel that he will be able to fight in the face of anti-incumbency?
Nabila, 15 months is a long time in politics. Let me be very clear on this. The chemistry is right, the arithmetic is right. Here's a man who's part of a relay race that the Prime Minister, when he was Chief Minister, a team that is, it is not who's better than whom. Here's a relay race, and each carries the vision that we envisaged for Gujarat. And believe me, if you turn around and ask me, was Rupani less better or he's better? This is a final race for the vision of the BJP. And we believe that we have picked up the right pick. And this is also a message to the Karyakarta that there is hope. It's not about some dynasty deciding what is to happen or what is not to happen. This is about merit. And a man who is the first-time MLA, it brings with him 26 years of experience.
But when you speak of merit, Mr. Vadakan, merit would mean there are MLAs who have served multiple terms, won elections from their constituencies multiple times. They're loyalists, they're senior leaders who've really given their heart and soul for the party for years, waiting for an opportunity like this. At a time like this, a first-time MLA to have been given precedence. Is it all about the caste factor then? Wooing the Patidar community as it's looked as?
Nabila, let's get to the bottom. I said that in the beginning, the chemistry is right, the arithmetic is right. I do not want to go into the nitty-gritties. Why is the Congress leader from a particular community? May I ask that question? But the fact is, we have calibrated, we have come to the conclusion that the race is on and he's part of the team, he's leading on and will deliver results in the state of Gujarat as envisioned by Prime Minister Modi ji.
Okay, let me take that to Congress since you spoke of the Congress party. Rohan Gupta, here is Bhupendra Patel, who has now been appointed as a new chief minister, a new face after Vijay Rupani very abruptly resigned, and it appears that it was coming. It was expected that his resignation would come, maybe because of not handling COVID crisis too well, is what we understand on ground. People aren't very happy with the COVID management, and it appears a new face has come now to take BJP towards 2022 polls. Here, Rohan Gupta, what would you say of the name that's been announced?
Yeah, so Navila, basically BJP spokesperson just told that it's a relay race. It's not a relay race, it's basically a musical chair, which is played by BJP High Command. And I think when they do 5 years of celebration for any CM, it should be considered as their farewell party. BJP will not be able to do this face saving by changing the face of the CM. At the end of the day, it is a failure of BJP. If he has been successful, why there is a change? If he has been failure, why there are celebrations? So I think they are contradicting themselves by giving a wrong narrative of giving chance to a new person. Why you have to give chance to new person if you are doing very well in last 5 years? Why you are celebrating the person's success if you feel that you are going to change him after 1 month? COVID situation, I am from Gujarat, Navela. It has been a nightmare for each and every Gujarati. More than 3 lakh people have died. 75% people couldn't get the access to ambulance. Apart from that, women security with Gujarat was the top state across country for so many years. It is a pathetic situation. And I think BJP High Command, they must have done some survey and they have found that now they cannot work more under Mr. Rupani. And that is why they have done this change.
Mr.
One more
Vadakan,
thing, important thing.
Congress spokesperson's allegations, Vijay Rupani could have been a failure, which is why you changed guard.
Mr. Rohan Gupta must understand that in his party, the dynasty decides who the chief minister is. And if they have to remove the chief minister, they shiver. Whether it is Chhattisgarh, whether it is Punjab, they dare not touch them because they know there will be a split in the party. Here we calibrate, we decide our players, and this is not a musical chair that is held in the Congress. This is a relay race to win, to bring in the vision that the Prime Minister decided on this country, and he is using the Gujarat model to prove to the world at large that yes, we will deliver. And Rupani is no less. Rupani is no less. It is only part of the calibration. I said earlier, the chemistry and the arithmetic is right. And my question to them is, why is their leader from a particular community? If they're so community-minded, I mean, these issues.
We know Hardik Patel really prompted the entire agitation among the Patidar community in 2017. So, the Congress also using it as a trump card, Rohan Gupta?
Nirila, basically what BJP spokesperson is talking is, I think he's beating around the bush. Basically, what I'm talking is about the remote control CM. You cannot have a remote control CM in state like Gujarat. You have seen Ms. Anandiben Patel, she was also removed. You have seen Mr. Rupani, because they are controlled from their high command. It cannot work like that. Gujarat is really paying price of the remote control CM. He's talking about giving opportunity to new people. Why before 1 year of the elections? If you are happy under Mr. Rupani's leadership, obviously nobody will change that. You will fight election under his leadership.
But Gupta, wouldn't you look at it this way? Any state will want a fresh face to really charge the prospects of the party, and the BJP knows very well to do it right. Unlike the Congress, who can't keep their house in order. I mean, this is just coming from sheer observation, not taking up for the BJP here, but sheer observation. At least the BJP in time makes a decision to spin the game around, unlike the Congress, who waits until the end, until the house crumbles. Let me cut across to Sagar Rabari, who's the AAP spokesman with us. Mr. Sagar, here is Bhupendra Patel, 15 months ahead of elections in Gujarat, who's now been announced as a new face, and he's just a one-time MLA. So even though we've not heard any voices of dissent, we hear from our reporters on ground that many senior Gujarat leaders are not very happy with this move.
Yes, you are right, Navarika. Many senior leaders are not happy, and the change of guard is publicly accepted by the BJP of the failure of the Rupani. All issues are on peak in Gujarat. Either it is women's safety or failure on health sector or education race. We are on in the yatras in rural Gujarat, where we are focusing on the issues, not any individual's failure. the example of failure of the BJP government, not only individual as Vijay Rupani. Doing the caste politics, then this is failure. Is the demands or the commitments made to the Patidar Anamat Andolan Samiti are fulfilled or not? Not. Alpesh Kathiria, Lalji Patel and Dinesh Bambania met few days back to discuss because they committed to withdraw the cases, but still cases are pending and the youth are facing the court trials. The road. Hello. Yeah. Let me finish in a half a minute. We are focusing, and failure is we are conveying the people, focusing on the failure of the government, and it is on the health sector, in the education sector, road infrastructure in Gujarat, rural distress in Gujarat. This is very serious issues. And one senior leader declared few days back from the BJP that we will fight election under the leadership of Vijay Bhai Rupani. And now they have changed. This is what we are saying.
Okay, we got your point. I'll take that to Mr. Vadakan. Mr. Vadakan, here, a change of guard here sort of shifts the entire focus for the BJP workers on ground. It gets a little, a bit of a task for them to sort of rework themselves with a new face. On the other hand, I'd like to ask you on the cabinet expansion and the deputy chief minister. Of course, Nitin Patel was also looked at as one of the prospects to be the chief minister. He's also a very popular face of the Patidar community. Do you think that he will remain within as a deputy chief minister, or will there be a new face? How does that arithmetic work, really?
Nabila, I am not an astrologer. The political spokesman gets information from the party headquarters and relays that. So I wouldn't venture into a speculation of who comes. This is a prerogative of the chief minister.
But Mr. Vadakan, these are basics that you possibly have an idea? I mean, on what kind of strategy
No, my speculation is not on that area. My speculation is how the vision has been formulated. A Patidar leader has been selected. He is leading from the front. Whatever combinations, permutations that logic will permit will be used. And I fully comprehend the system that works because merit is the criterion. I just now heard...
No, when you spoke of a Patidar leader, Mr. Vadakan, there are several other Patidars as well. Nitin Patel himself as a deputy CM is a very prominent Patidar leader. How come he was sidelined? That's the question.
And this is a question of calibration, the views that have come in, the inputs of senior leaders, the thought processes. We cannot be guided by some policy or some perception. We have to be guided to carry the entire state along. The organization is important. The vision is to be carried. So I'm not saying he's less. Here we are not comparing apples and oranges. They all in their own rights are great leaders with great attributes and experience. But let me answer the Aam Aadmi Party panelists who said that they are looking at the infrastructure. Yes, I was held up for 2 hours in the Delhi floods. Airport has been converted into almost a port. And if they're talking about infrastructure, selling electricity free, water free, these kind of things doesn't sell with Gujarat. They're very down to earth. They're ready to pay for what they get. And the point here is we go and promise water. Water is coming to Delhi. It's come down to my street. I need a boat, not a car. So let's say about their infrastructure.
Sticking to Gujarat. All right, Mr. Vadakan, I got your point. You say Gujarat is very strategic and that's why they made a decision. Rohan Gupta, I'll end with you here. A final note. Here's the strategy of the BJP to come up with a fresh lease of life to energize development in the state of Gujarat ahead of the 2022 polls, as per Amit Shah.
I think it's a failed effort of face savings by changing the faces. It's not about Gujarat. You have seen in Karnataka, you have seen in Uttarakhand, you are seeing Gujarat, maybe who knows tomorrow Madhya Pradesh and Haryana. I think somewhere the central leadership has understood that they have miserably failed in handling the crisis like COVID. And somewhere they are just making these CMs the scapegoats. Basically, it's just time to change the PM and not the CM. They have changed the central health minister. They are changing the CM because the ground feedback, what they are getting, that people are not happy at all with the handling of COVID. And people have lost their loved ones. I am from Gujarat, Navila. It's not about being a political spokesperson.
Right.
People have really suffered a lot. And if BJP thinks that by putting somebody else, they will forget the old deeds of the BJP, I think it's about the party's failure,
Well,
not
at
about
the end of it,
individual
it's
person.
also about course correction, Rohan. That's what we hope our
It's about the
politicians
party,
do
it's
all
not
the
about the
time.
individual.
If
They
there is a
should
mistake,
resign.
they've got to correct themselves. And if this is course correction, then great
should
good for
accept the
them. All
mistake
the very
first of all.
best. Thank you very much, Rohan Gupta. Tom Varakan, sir, barely any time. Thank you very much for joining us. Sagar Rabri, the AAP spokesperson. Here are panelists' opinions, of course, but how the elections there pans out, only time will tell. But India Today continues to track those developments. Bhupendra Patel will be taking oath at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Stay tuned to watch out. Thank you for watching.